Just would not do it.
He would not share that information with his
So do you
kids.
know what happened in his childhood that caused, well, you said his father was also
him because mom had died
early. So this was a learned behavior.
Absolutely.
So it was generational.
Yes.
Wow. So is there, I want to ask a question. I don't know if I should.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I'm did you get any of those I've never seen you angry. So did you get, I have a temper. I know where mine came from. Willie Richardson, all day. But did you get any of his tendencies? Honestly.
I did. I used to be very angry. And I would lash out. I would fight. I would get in trouble for fighting. I remember 5th grade year, I probably got wrote up 14 times.
Hold up. Stop the presses. I teach 5th grade. If I write a child up 14 times, man, where's the guidance counselor at?
Now that it won't go to that point because of the zero tolerance policy, but my mom had to meet with the principal, assistant principal, guidance counselor, and all my teachers that year. And of course, I make good grades. I know what's going on.
Right.
I'm just making a choice because I'm fighting battles at home.
Right.
So I'm waiting. My gun is loaded. I know I can't jump on my daddy neck.
Right.
So I'm waiting on somebody
That displaced aggression.
Something cross, and I'm just.
So the first person who said, "Boo, I don't like your shirt. I don't like your shoes," you just went.
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, Odessa, I'm shocked.
No, I was ready.
So from my takeaway from that is, to my teacher listeners out there, if you have a student that's just lashing out for no reason, it resonates with me because I currently have a student that's lashing out for no reason. And I thought on the lines of abuse, but it's so very hard as an educator to get something done in a timely fashion. Now the write-ups, 14 write-ups is definitely a flag for anyone in the school system, but did the school system, rather than suspend you, did they offer any kind of help to you during your 5th grade year?
They did. They tried their best not to suspend me, but it's one of those things where, come on now,
right.
you up here again. I remember it was
Odessa. Now you weren't young then. It was Odessa
Johnson.
Okay, Miss Johnson up here again. Listen.
So one holiday, it was a delayed write-up. So when I came back from holiday break, that's when the referral hit the desk. So that Monday, I'm at ISS for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Because week or two. Because it was mounting up then. So I had people asking me questions. But the way they were asking questions didn't make me feel comfortable enough to answer them. I remember one teacher, "Are you having trouble at home?" That was an insult because what do you mean?
Right.
Because in my mind, it's like, oh, you trying to take me away from what I know.
Right.
I know it's chaotic. I know.
Right. Even though you knew that, you didn't want to leave that.
No, because that's what I know. Because chances are it could be worse.
True enough.
It could be better, but in the mind of a child, it could be worse.
Wow.
So building a rapport with children, not letting that be the lead question.
Right. Relationship building.
Like, hey, if there's time in your schedule to walk down the hall with him and, how was your day? How are you feeling today?
Right.
Is there anything that I can help you with today?
Versus the way she did it.
Are you having trouble at home? You need to go to the office.
Because that just puts you on the defensive.
Right.
Actually.
Right.
Wow.
So my gun already loaded. So you go ahead and put me on the defensive. And I said, no, are you having trouble at home?
Oh, Odessa.
Yes. So that was another trip to the office.
And so that's referral number 15. Facebook, YouTube. There again, share this live. We are here with Odessa Young. We're talking about survival by grace, and the issues of child abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, the mental abuse that happens, that has happened in her life, and how she has overcome those issues to be a business owner, and to step out and write a book that could help you, me, your neighbor, your sister's cousin's best friend's child, anyone who could possibly. These are conversations we should just be having with our children, or I'd say in school, but we do so much in school now but as teachers, we should phrase questions differently. Don't come out and say, are you having problems at home? Because just like Odessa said, quite naturally, I'm not going to tell you the truth, because the situation that I could go into could be much worse. And we've all saw movies of where the child is taken from their house, placed into foster care, and been in a worse situation. Yes. And vice versa. Foster care is great. I'm not saying that. Don't take that away from this. But there are cases to where it could be a worse situation. And as a child, we're going to think the worst. Right. And of course, we don't want to get our parents in trouble.
Right, because then that's another battle. So what if I do say what's going on and I'm not immediately removed from the home? Then I have to deal with, oh, you done went over there to that school and you done told everybody everything that's going on, and you done made me look bad. Now people know what's really going on. Come to the room. Right,
come to the room. That gives me chills. Let's switch gears.
Okay.
Let's talk about the car. And you were driving on the way home. Your sister's in the back. Tell us about that, because that was interesting.
Oh, yes. So by this time, I'm older.
Okay.
So I'm definitely more outspoken. I'm getting tired of just standing by, watching things happen.
Right.
Without saying anything. I'm growing into, I have a voice.
Okay.
So I don't even remember what the question was, but he kept saying something to her, and she was starting to cry, and she didn't have the right answer. And I'm like, look, you tell him exactly what you think right now. I don't care what it is.
Right.
And you could see his eyes changing. I'm just very upset.
And you're currently driving
driving his car.
Okay.
Because I'm fed up.
Right.
By this point. And I told him, that's not how you're going to treat her. I don't care if you were Jesus Christ, because I know he wouldn't treat her like that.
Right.
But that's not how you're going to talk to her.
Right.
And it's going to end today. Pull over now.
Yeah.
I don't care. So I pull the car over and get out. And thankfully, I was able to get back in the car.
Right, because he could have left you on the side of the road.
But at that point, when you've had enough, logic starts to leave. Like, I don't care.
Right.
I fought this battle.
You're fed up by this point. Okay.
And you're not going to silence her like you silenced me.
So you were protecting her because you did not want her to be treated like you were treated.
Absolutely.
So you're trying to break the cycle.
Yes.
With your sister.
Right.
Okay.
And the rest of the car ride was silent. And we got home, and I think the fact that I was older and he was starting to know, like, oh, wait a minute, she's older, she's starting to get her voice, maybe let me back up a little bit. And he didn't say anything when we got home. Like, it wasn't, I'm going to grab you or snatch you up, get the belt. He went to his room, I went to mine. I said a little prayer, because you know that's that eerie silence, like, oh, and he may be waiting until later. But that night, nothing else happened.
Okay. But of course, you were uneasy that entire night.
Yes.
What did your sister say about that? Did y'all have a conversation?
We didn't, because she was, if I was 16, she was 12. So it was one of those things like, or probably she's like, really, Dessa? Like, that's, she still say that now.
I can see her say that.
Like, really? Like, we just trying to get home. Like, I was just trying to answer the question, but it's not okay.
But the answer she was given, he didn't accept.
It wasn't good enough.
Right.
So, just say what you want to say.
Right.
And because it's not going to be what he wants anyway.
Right.
So,
okay.
If I can't please you, I'm just going to say what I have to say and then take the consequences.
So was that the first time you decided to use your voice?
I think that was one of the first. That was one of the first.
Okay. Earlier you said, and I don't remember exactly how you phrased it, but you said, I know Jesus Christ wouldn't have done that. Talk about the lady from your church that had the mild spirit, that she walked in. I think you were in the hospital or you were sick. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Oh man, I love her. And oh my gosh, forgive me, her name is leaving me right now. But that's when she asked me, did I know Jesus as my personal savior? I'm like, I go to church. No, that's not what I asked you. Do you know him? And that's when I got saved, when I asked Jesus to be the forgiver and partner of my sins. In the hospital yet again, with everything going crazy.
Right.
At that point.
So here you are, abused by your father, your alcoholic father, an aggressive mother who worked nights, an older brother who didn't live with you, a younger brother that did but wound up having to move, health issues seemingly because of all the stress you're carrying.
It was.
And finding your voice, standing up to this man that had hurt you in multiple different ways. And this lady comes in and she asks you about Jesus.
Yes.
Whew. That right there. Whew. Whew. She asked you about Jesus, who could fix all of this.
Right.
And so that's when you accepted Christ.
Yes.
That particular day. Was everything roses and daisies and sunflowers? Was everything, you accepted Christ? And I want our listeners, our viewers to hear this, because there could be some misconception that just because you accepted Christ at that very moment, that everything was just smooth as ice on that particular day and life was just smooth sailing. Was that the case?
That was not the case. That is not how salvation works. That is not how life works in general. I was now equipped with a peace I didn't understand. So when the hardships continued, I was able to deal with it more in a peaceful manner.
Right.
Versus, because now at this point I'm angry.
Right.
I'm fed up. I want somebody to pay for what he did to me.
Right. But why do you want someone? Why not him?
Because there's a power dynamic. He's still my dad.
Okay.
And I'm still child.
Right.
So even with abuse and neglect, it's important to understand that children can still respect parent-child relationship or have a fear of it to the point where I'm not going to do certain things or say things against that person because they are my parent.
Right. So what, did you go to counseling as a child? Or was it just, and not just, because Jesus is the ultimate counselor in any way, but did you seek counseling from any other source? Or did you just seek God's grace and His Spirit to help you get through some of those days rather than lashing out.
I did. I was forced to see a psychiatrist because I attempted suicide.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, after I attempted suicide, that was a requirement, to get out of the hospital.
So we all know we can play a game. Mm-hmm. Did you play a game or were you truthful?
I played a game.
Okay.
Initially.
Okay.
Because I learned from the best. Mm-hmm. I know
how to play. You learned this from your father.
So I had to go to a couple of sessions, and then I realized, okay, I would kind of change my answers a little bit and see how the psychiatrist would respond. Oh, that got that response? That got that response? Yeah, I'm about to cut this short. Because I didn't see the benefit. Full transparency.
Didn't see the benefit.
I didn't see the benefit of it. Which is funny now because that's one of the things that I remember planted a seed that will be watered in me later. The psychiatrist gave me a book to read, Mind and Body, when it talks about how you respond to trauma, how the mind works, how the body works. I actually read that book, kept that book for a very long time. But that's one of the things that was planted in me at that time that later said, okay, how are you going to change the narrative? How can you use what happened to you to change the life of somebody else? And then at that moment, and I've had several people along the way that saw something good in me, despite me being a little A+ hand raiser, making good grades. But I'll never forget, my mom saw my guidance counselor several years ago out in town, and she said, "How is Odessa doing?" And she had this concerned look on her face. And my mom just started laughing. She was like, "You would not believe who she is now." And she was telling her about me. And she was like, "Are you kidding?" She was like, "Yeah, no, she made it."
Right.
But as I got older, it's a choice. And I saw the movies. I've dealt with people and I'm like, oh man, that person seems very bitter and sad. And I remember times in my life when I begged to die.
Wow.
So to get to a point where I love life, I don't want to go back to that side because I know what it's like.
So how old were you when you reached the point where you decided to change the narrative and flip it for your good, because it really could have gone any kind of way. It could have ended tragically in the suicide attempt. Thank God it did not. But how hard was it to change the narrative?
Oh, it was very hard. I attempted suicide, I think I was 13, 14. Due to my health issues, I didn't think I was going to live past 21.
Oh, wow.
Just in general. So
was that your diagnosis or had you been told that?
That was my diagnosis.
Okay.
The worst diagnoses that the doctors were giving me at that point was there's a possibility they would grow into seizures, that I would have epilepsy, that I wouldn't be able to drive, that I would possibly go blind.
Oh, goodness.
Up until age 17, 18. So there was several years where I was like, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to live free, I'm not going to adhere to different rules.
Because I'm not going to be here. So
I'm not going to be here.
Wow.
Some people that really love me that I definitely know, I did not see that at the time because my life was clouded with so much other stuff. So I didn't value those relationships at the time. But as I hit 21, I'll never forget, I was in college. Now, mind you, I'm in college. I went to college. I'm honors scholar, inductee, still maintaining that role, but still having that other side of my life, having fun and everything. But I remember when I hit 21, like 12:01.
I'm still here.
Oh, I'm still here.
I'm still here.
Wait a minute. So then every year after that comes growth. Mm-hmm. It comes, I make a joke, I step on the devil's head. Like, so I actually stomp for real on my birthday, just stomping, marching on the floor, like, I live to see another year.
Wow.
Which was significant this year, because I turned 41 in April. So that's my 20 years.
Wow.
Of each year initially saying, will this be the year to take me out?
Right.
What did I leave behind? Did I fulfill my purpose? Did I do what I was supposed to do? And now it's like, oh no, you're going to live full blast, in color, out loud.
Out loud. Living out. That is your saying.
It is. I dream in color and I live out loud.
Live out loud.
Right.
Yes, that is it. Oh my gosh. I cannot, I don't have words for what you've been through. I just would have never, and we don't have a way, we don't have x-ray vision. We can't see the hearts of people that we're interacting with on a daily basis. Right. And so I think, to me, that is why we need to cultivate those friendships. Yeah. And make sure that we get to know our friends, not just on the surface. Absolutely. Because there's a whole lot of surface going on today. We're surface friends. We don't know the in-depth truth because we don't want people talking about us. Right. And that is specifically in some African-American households. We want our dirt to be our dirt. Right. And there is no transparency to that. And withholding that information from even other family members. Yes. Your brother didn't know. Right. And there's a lot of families out there that don't know the abuse that's going on within their families. And I'm not saying go tell everybody in your family, right, because not everybody can help you. Absolutely. But at the same time, I just hear my pastor, Dean, saying transparency. Mm-hmm. You know, we're put here for a reason. We are. And so if we can save someone else from going through the trauma of physical abuse, maybe not from your father, maybe it's from a boyfriend, a girlfriend, maybe it's a child being abusive to their parent because I don't understand that mentality, but maybe it is. But we need to make sure that we're transparent, that we let people know so that they're not dealing with situations on their own. I think I think that's my takeaway from your book. I want to flip through and make sure. There was a section in here that talked about innocence lost, I think is what it said. We'll talk about that, and then we'll go to the fact that you found him dead. Okay. And so, innocence, we think of the innocence of a child. Yes. But your innocence was taken. It was. Your voice was silenced. It was. Even if on purpose, I think intentional silencing of a voice. Explain what happened in that particular situation.
In that particular situation, I was with my cousins, family, friends, or whatever, looking for love in the wrong places, wrong place, wrong time, in the words of the elders, trying to be
fast
and grown. But that was the moment. The guy I had way too much to drink. Shouldn't have been drinking because I think I'm 14 at the time. I probably looked 21 physically. One thing led to another. I didn't give verbal consent for the act to happen, but that was when I was raped, and that was when I was having an out-of-body experience. When you listen to victims of that say, I wanted to speak, but I couldn't. Mm-hmm. I was looking over at myself. Wow. And couldn't speak. And it was one of those moments where everything I knew from that point about who I was questioned. Mm-hmm. So when he finished, I got dressed. I wasn't staying at home that night. I was staying at a family member's house, and I just played it off and acknowledged that I had sex with the person, and I went and took a shower, and I scrubbed my body till I was red because I felt dirty, and I got into bed, and I pretended that it didn't happen.
Wow. At 14?
14.
So did you ever tell anyone about that before your book? Or did you just internalize that?
I had a male friend at the time, and it's not in the book, but I asked him to call the guy. I still had his number to see if he used protection because I couldn't remember.
Yeah, because that could have ended differently.
Right.
In so many different.
He did it. He did that for me.
Wow.
And of course the guy said he did. We'll never know.
Right.
But it was having to admit to him like, hey, but we were very, very close at the time. Right. And, this is what happened. Mm-hmm. Like, I need you to do this for me.
Wow.
And then I think I shared it with guys that I was close to and dating when I was comfortable. I shared it with my mom before I released the book. Mm-hmm. Because in writing the book, I'm praying about what I need to release, what's going to be important. And then, of course, I wanted to have a conversation with my family, like, hey, this is what I put in the book, especially with my mom and my sister, because mm-hmm. they were closest to me at the time. Of course, it directly impacts you if you put that story out there. Right. Because I in no way identify my mom as an aggressive mom, but I never identify her as an abuser. Right. We're actually very close. It's my ride or die to the end. So I want to make sure that I'm not painting that picture. Right. Because she was my ally. She did the best she could. Right. And then the way she was raised, there was a dynamic that she couldn't get past. Like when I told my mom I went through severe depression, she cried. She said, because I don't know mm-hmm. how to help you through that, because I've never felt that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I had to tell her, when I'm having those moments, I can't call you. Right. Right. I need to call somebody else, because I need somebody that can speak to me in a certain way. Right. When I'm having those moments.
Right. You don't need cuddling from mama. You need I don't know what you need. What do you need? What do you
I need comforting wisdom because my mom is